All right. Thanks for joining us for another ranked list that we're going to compile for you guys today. We're going to do the Star Wars villains. Now, it's worth mentioning, we have a great list of villains here, and we have one of the most dastardly villains in the galaxy. Joining us for this list, we have Bubba on the call, ready to give you his thoughts. Say hi to everyone.
Hello.
There he is.
It's me.
All right.
This was an interesting list.
It really was.
I enjoyed putting this one together.
Well, great way to start this off, Bub. You're really getting into it, I can tell.
I'm really passionate about this one.
Okay.
I put my heart and soul into this list.
All right. We only did the episodes of the Skywalker saga, 1 through 9. We did not include the anthology films, Rogue One, Solo. We didn't include any of the animated series. We didn't include any of the live action series. But no Mandalorian villains, no Clone Wars villains, no Savage Opress. Okay, stop asking about them. All right.
Yeah, you guys are always asking about Savage Opress, and
right. And it's also worth noting
I'm
that when we're considering these villains that we've compiled, we have 21 names here. We are not including those series, the anthology. We're looking at only what happens in the movies, only what happens in George Lucas, Rian Johnson, and J.J. Abrams movies. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. And we have names here. We have the Knights of Ren. We have General Grievous, Palpatine, better known as the Emperor. We have Newt Gunray, Jabba the Hutt, Darth Maul, Jango Fett, Wampa, Kylo Ren, Supreme Leader Snoke, General Pride, General Hux, Zam Wessel, Captain Phasma, Darth Vader, Count Dooku, Boba Fett, Jango Fett, Sebulba, Admiral Pete, BB-9E. I think that's everyone. All right.
It's a pretty complete list. We really stretched to everybody.
We did because we love the villains. The villains are what makes the hero. Okay. And Star Wars has some pretty damn good villains, if I do say so myself.
They do. No,
I'm the one in control here, right? So let's get started. This is the 21 least to greatest Star Wars villains coming at you right now. All right. What did you have for your worst villain in Star Wars? Bubba, shoot.
I had one that I think we both agree on because it's painfully obvious why.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
It's the Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Ren. Horrible.
It's just horrible. Horrible.
Hard to watch.
I mean,
I'd rather watch
brutal.
I'd rather watch
brutal.
I'd rather watch Pompeii. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, if you just think about what they do throughout that entire movie, they're only in 9. And if you just think about what they do throughout 9,
yeah, I'll consider it, and then I think of everything they did in 2 seconds.
Yeah, because they didn't do much. They stood on rocks and they watched as the people they were trying to chase go away, and then they lost the trail, and then they were back on the trail, and then they had that like really bad fight with Ben Solo at the end. Just wasted potential. I should be loving every single one of these knights. I should be collecting all the action figures. I should know each of their names. But I think it was a product of the rush development of 9, JJ's 9, that led to what we got, and it's just disappointing.
Absolutely. I have not much to say. I can't even think about what they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? Are they supposed to be killers?
Yeah.
Are they supposed to be bounty hunters?
What race are they? What are they doing?
Are they the disciples of Kylo Ren's? When he murdered Luke's academy, did he take some with him? That was a rumor.
Why are they using physical weapons?
Why? Yeah. What do they do when they have Ben Solo surrounded at the end of 9, and they bludgeon him? They hit him they take his kneecaps out. It's like they're using PVC pipes. Like they don't kill him immediately. These guys, what are they? Are they like feared throughout the galaxy? What are they? What are they? Right? No thought process behind them. They were all flash. In episode 7, they thought, we'll take care of it later. And then, there was no plan. They perfectly embody the idea of that sequel trilogy of let's make this for no rhyme or reason. Let's make it for money's sake. And terrible, brutal. And I think that the sequel trilogy characters are going to carry on for the bottom of this list, for the depths of this trash compactor. What do you have?
Mostly the sequel trilogies are going to
What do you
preside
have
around
for
the
your
bottom.
second worst Star Wars villain? This will be number 20.
I put Snoke for my number 20.
Supreme Leader Snoke.
Hmm.
Well, that's interesting
Mhm.
because I didn't have that.
Okay. Who did
I
you
had-
have? Who did you have for your number 20?
I had General Hux.
Yeah, that's another good choice.
What do you?
I think
How is convince me that Supreme Leader Snoke is worse than General Hux? I can't think of anything that's worse than General Hux, save for these Knights of Ren.
I mean, okay, because if you look at Hux, right, it's a lot of wasted potential
Mm-hmm.
with how the character ended up, and I think it's the same for Snoke, but I put Snoke lower than Hux because it was a little bit more egregious. This guy was supposed to be the big bad of the series, or he was like presented to be at least, and even if you didn't want him to be the ultimate big bad of the series, you know, like the Emperor type.
Mm-hmm.
The way you don't kill him off like that, like don't like everything about Snoke, from you know the throne room scene in 8 to thinking about the potential that they set up in 7 to everything. It's just disappointment, and it's a major disappointment because this was he looked like such a cool, interesting, big bad villain that I wanted to see him do insane stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I think for Hux, it's more or less kind of the same disappointment for different reasons because you know obviously they're different characters, but it was more the fact that Snoke was supposed to be such a huge figure, and they just completely dropped. Well, I guess Rian Johnson, we could say, completely dropped the ball on it.
I don't know, man, because I think what puts Snoke, and I will say he's not too far ahead, right, for me.
Mhm.
What saves Snoke, at least at this point on my list, is the fact that he's not in Episode 9. For the most part, he has.
Well, they still managed to ruin him in some way. They made him a clone of the Emperor.
Right. But I think about what became of General Hux. Now I can't even. At least there's still an amount. There's a little bit of intrigue around Snoke. Like if you wanted to really explore, and I would never spend money on this, but if they did release, I know they do have like a Snoke Kylo Ren comic thing, kind of. There's like an issue, right? But you could like do something with Snoke. Even the Mandalorian seems to be tied to him in some way, and that's
Maybe.
that's like sort of interesting, like very very minimal. But I don't give a rat's flying fuck about General Hux. Whatever intrigue I had with this, you know, piece of bamboo is thrown out the window when he leaves the First Order because he doesn't like his boss at work. He's jealous. Hey guys,
he flips the side of an entire army. Yeah.
I could lead this army better. I should be in command, right? Give me the keys to the car. Watch how fast I can drive. No.
Yeah, so he flips because of that. He flips an entire army.
Of what? Yeah. He risks his entire life. His dad was he has like this whole background that they've established in the time between 6 and 7 where he's born he loves the First Order. He's the biggest fan. He's like the fanatic. He's given a Hitler speech in Episode 7 to being an absolute idiot in Episode 9 to being the worst rebel of all time. Or in Episode 8, I mean, to Episode 9. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's 3 different characters in each movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Snoke was you know what I mean? I think he's terrible. I think Snoke is better than General Hux.
I'll compromise on that. But do you think it would be 20 Hux and then Snoke 19?
For like 19, for me, I had General Pride.
Okay, I had Pride a little bit higher.
And then I had Snoke.
I had Pride a little bit higher.
How far?
So for our combined list, we're putting Hux at 20. I'll agree with you on that.
Hux at 20. Okay, so now we're looking for number 19. I have General Pride number 19, and then Supreme Leader Snoke number 18.
I had Phasma at number 19. Captain Phasma. And then I actually had Hux at number 18, but you kind of turned me around on Hux. I see what you mean. And I'm convinced that he's in the number 20 spot. Okay, but I had Phasma there for many of the same reasons that we were just talking about. The disappointment factor, the wasted potential. Just
You would be hard pressed to find a worse general than General Pride in the history of mankind.
Okay, you know what? Maybe just for the fact that Phasma seemed like a competent captain.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you on that. Well, I think that you're right, and you're right. Like Pride is stupid, and Phasma seems at least like, you know, we don't get to see much of what Phasma does, but she at least seems like a competent captain. You know, she seems like she deserves that spot.
Yes.
So, okay, I'll compromise with you on that. So, but do you think Snoke is better than Pride?
Well, she's okay. For the record, she's not a very competent captain. You know, she's almost. We're almost to Captain Phasma here on my list.
Okay.
But, because think about it. What? Who's in her? Who's under her in the army? Is Finn?
Yeah, and then he immediately defects.
Yeah. But whatever. In this world that they've created of Star Wars, the wars in space. Yeah, she's way better at being in the army than General Pride, who can't go up.
But is Pride better than, or is Pride worse than Snoke? I think Pride is
okay. If we're looking at the movies alone, right, like we established at the beginning of this video, Snoke is better than Pride.
But listen. Let me lay this on you. Pride actually killed somebody in these movies.
Yeah, but he killed.
So what does that tell you about Snoke?
Yeah, they had to force to inject that scene to the veins of that movie because they had to show, oh, he means business. Whoa.
Yeah, that's a clean kill. He killed General Hux.
Oh.
Spoilers for all these movies.
The way he did it to was so cringe. Okay, are you going by how many people they've killed? Is this how you're basing your list?
Well, it's villains. That's a villainous act.
It is a villainous act, but
Snoke didn't do jack shit. At least Pride did something.
Let me remind you of Snoke in Episode 7. Think about the character. He's an alien, or seemingly so.
He was just a giant
General Pride
hologram.
is another human general guy. He's literally fulfilling the Hux role from 7. Okay, as an older man, as a silver fox, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Kinda. I mean, I still think
Supreme Leader Snoke probably sells more toys, even his gold Hugh Hefner robes, than who's buying a General Pride as a character design, as a character, and also the intrigue of Snoke in 7 cannot be understated. When I saw 7 for the first time, I was so interested in Snoke.
Right.
And everyone was too. They were.
But that just makes it more disappointing. Whereas when I think about General Pride, I'm not really like disappointed.
Yeah, but if you wipe my mind and made me watch the whole series again, I'm having the same reaction to Snoke, and I'm still not going to care about Pride, right?
Okay.
And all I'm saying is it's going to go Pride than Snoke. That's all I'm saying. So Snoke is still going to be number 17 or number 18.
So 19, we're putting who?
General Pride.
And then
number
18 Snoke.
Yes.
Okay.
How does that sit with you?
Okay. That's okay.
All right.
It's a little different than what I had, but it's okay. So then 17 Phasma, because we were talking about Phasma.
Okay, so I had 16 Phasma.
Who did you have in number 17?
I had to split up the sequel trilogy a little bit. And again,
I split it up a little bit too.
I put Zam Wessel.
Okay, Zam was my 16. It's right above you. So,
okay, okay, let's talk about this then. This is funny.
Yeah, we agreed that Zam sucks. Yeah, we weren't together when we made these lists. We made them separately.
Of course, yeah. We're miles apart.
Yeah.
And I think
we agreed that Zam sucks.
I think Phasma gets by looks alone,
Sure.
By Zam. I think Phasma
Dude, but again, you got to think about how you got to think about how disappointing it is. You got to think about how disappointing of a villain Phasma is. Which I think puts it below. I think that puts it below Zam.
Zam is definitely less disappointing. I'll give her that.
Yeah. But as a villain, she just sucks.
Yeah, she's really bad at her job. But that's the whole point of her. I think she's this. You know what? Whatever Jango Fett was thinking in episode 2 to even hire her instead of doing. He couldn't have piloted a droid to drop off centipedes into a window himself.
That's one thing, but even just think about the part where Obi-Wan is haning from the droid, right? And the droid's returning to Zam.
Yeah.
And well, Zam pulls out her sniper rifle.
She
aims at Obi-Wan haning off this droid. And what does she shoot? She shoots the droid.
It was easier to aim for the droid. If you noticed her sight lines, they were fixed on the droid. She had like a lock on the droid because she was piloting the droid, remember?
So she, like, her sniper locked onto the droid?
Yeah, you can tell because on her sight lines, when the camera is her sight.
Why doesn't she want to shoot Obi-Wan then?
Right, and then it focuses in on the. I mean, she has a sniper from space. I'm sure it could have locked onto anything, but it seems like it was registering the droid only. Or maybe, you know what? Obi-Wan could have moved his head, but the droid was on a set rail path back to her, because again, she was piloting it. So I don't blame her. it's
still pretty. And then as a Morphling, I feel like you need a better escape plan as a Morphling than what you did.
What is she thinking though? She's thinking, I'm going to shoot this droid out of the sky, and he's going to fall to death. She didn't expect the greatest Jedi that's ever lived, Anakin, to come in. She didn't. Who could anticipate that? I think she thought
he's a wild card. He's a wild card for sure.
Yeah, she wanted it to be a very dramatic death. She wanted a big splat.
Okay, so you're bumping up.
I think
you're talking a little bit highly of Zam here. You're bumping her up a little bit in my mind.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I think Phasma should be next. I know it sucks because we're putting so many sequel trilogy people down here, but that's just the reality.
It deserves it. It really deserves it. I mean,
so I think number 17 should go to Phasma for reasons we already discussed.
Phasma could have been so cool. They have the girl from Game of Thrones, Gwendoline Christie, in armor, in the coolest armor they've ever made, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna, I'm still salty that they even went with like stormtroopers as the antagonists, right? But if they're gonna go down,
whatever,
right? Like it shouldn't have been the First Order as a faction, but okay, so what? They did do that. They wanted it to be the same dynamic, Rebels versus Empire again, whatever. That's a whole other video, right? But they debut this Captain Phasma, and it looks so badass. So cool, and her voice is sick, and she comes in, like the first thing you see, episode 7, she comes down from that ship. My troops all ready. Fire. Right? And then submit your blaster for inspection.
Classic.
So
iconic
many one-liners at once, and then she's gone. Gone. I think she was having scheduling conflicts with the what the hell? How do you not use her? And then they get her back for the end, and she takes out the generator of the Starkiller base.
Yeah, she lowers the shield generator.
Yeah, all right. You know what, Captain Phasma, and then Zam.
But then Zam. So Zam at 16. Okay.
All right. So who'd you have for 15?
Next, I had our boy Kylo Ren.
Okay, so I had Kylo Ren at 14. This is interesting. This is funny.
This is interesting. Wait, who is your 15? Is it who I think it is?
BB9.
No, dude. No.
Wait. How is BB9E better than Kylo Ren?
Listen, I'm not gonna spoil my list too much, but BB9E is a top 10 Star Wars villain. Okay.
Wow, dude.
The top
Are you
10.
kidding me? You're such a joker, dude.
What are you talking about,
dude? You're an asshole.
He's in the top 10. I'm telling you that right now.
In the entire 9-episode saga, he has 30 seconds of screen time, maybe. That's generous.
Okay, but in those 30 seconds, he fucking killed it, okay? Because think about what we're talking about, all these other villains and their villainous acts and how they sucked and how they were disappointing. But BB-9E had a mission, okay? In that time he had a mission. And he executed that mission to a T, okay? He did exactly what he had to do. He's a good villain.
He saw it through to the end. He did.
And in the process of carrying out his mission, he captured our heroes.
He did. He got.
Can you say that? Can you say that much about the other ones that we've been talking about?
Well, Kylo Ren captures. That's all he can do is capture people and bring them to his bed, and interrogate them with his.
Yeah, but Kylo Ren's version of capturing is let me ram my TIE fighter at 100 miles an hour into this girl.
Yeah.
But BB-9E goes, hey, my job is security. Let me perform security, and I'm gonna get these bitches captured.
Okay, so I had Kylo Ren at 14.
Okay, I have him at 15. He's not a good villain.
You had him at 15.
Yeah.
And I had BB9E at 14. And you had
Which is
BB9E in the
too,
top 10.
too damn low. Too damn low.
Wow. So you're not budging on BB9E.
No, I mean, I'll take him out of the top 10 for our combined list because, But
I cannot believe that you're going to tell me that.
Here's just the facts. Okay, BB9E is the best sequel trilogy villain. That's just the facts.
I would say it's Kylo Ren. There's a smidge of development for Kylo Ren.
No, dude, the inconsistency is too much. Too much inconsistency.
Listen to me. He has an arc. As bad as the arc is, there's an arc. Okay. They did give him an arc. They gave him
from movie to movie. His motives are shifting left and right.
Kylo Ren to me is the most interesting, and this is not high praise, right? This is not an award, but he is the most interesting sequel trilogy.
Interesting in what way? Because when I'm watching these movies, all I'm saying is, dude, just pick a side, man.
That's true.
Like, make up your mind.
I'll give you that.
About anything. Do you want to be dark side? Do you want to be light side? Do you want to kill Rey? Do you want Rey to join you? Do you want to capture Rey? Like, what do you just?
Rey. Yeah.
The whole time, Kylo Ren is just, it's like scene by scene, he changes his character.
Right.
And again, I've talked too much about wasted potential here with the sequel trilogy, but the whole thing is just a giant mess of wasted potential. But you know what? Guess who's the most consistent character in the entire trilogy? BB9E.
Oh my gosh. He's consistent because he doesn't show up. Okay?
But he's there when they need him.
Because listen, Kylo Ren has a very, very strong start. Episode 7 is a good movie for him. Okay? He does a stand-up job. He is a good villain.
He lost to Rey at the end of that movie.
But he throws the tantrums.
He lost to Rey at the end of that movie.
I like that he's talking to Vader's helmet. There's a lot of good mojo. Yeah, I would have.
Where did he get that helmet? Tell me where he got that helmet.
I don't know, but here's the thing. This is why he's the most interesting character in the sequel trilogy to me. Because what you're telling me is that BB9E is the most interesting. But hold on.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren is the one.
No. I'm saying he's the best villain because that's what the list is. Keep track of what the list is. It's the best Star Wars villains.
Kylo Ren is the only one in the entire sequel trilogy that I want to know anything else about. Right?
You don't want to know about BB9E?
I would be okay to learn about like if they did a series with him and Luke training before the whole trilogy happens, right?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I don't care about any of the other characters in the sequel trilogy, right? Besides Kylo Ren, right?
Well, we're not looking at their intrigue. We're looking at their villainous acts.
Part of being a villain is intrigue.
Yeah,
right?
but Kylo Ren's a worse villain than BB9E. He commits worse acts. Villainous acts.
Bub,
he's stupid. He's dumb. He's dumb. And BB9E's a droid. He can't be dumb.
Bub, you said before that BB9E kills someone. Or gets
No, I didn't say that. He doesn't kill anybody.
Villainous acts. This guy kills his own father, and in a meta perspective, kills a fan favorite, General Solo. Okay, and then he kills his mom, except for that she's a superhero. Or wait, he doesn't pull the trigger, but he's leading the
No, he did not pull the trigger on that.
And that was cool. That was a good character development moment. See, that's what I'm talking about. They put all their chips on Kylo Ren, really. But in doing so, you're right. They made him a wishy-washy washboard. But it's there. It's there. It's the only thing that's keeping these movies afloat. Right.
BB9E. What is BB9E's job? Security. Okay. What does he see? He sees some resistance scum mucking around their ship, and what does he do? He gets the proper forces to come in and capture them. Okay, it was BB9E that saved that ship at the time.
Okay, all right, but
he's a first order hero.
If you're letting this happen, then you have to put BB9E next, because there's no way you can tell me that he's better than the next that I have.
So you're willing to rank Kylo Ren below BB9E if they're right next to each other?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like that's so fair because I know you're bullshitting me right now with all this.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not bullshitting me. He is in my top 10, but I will put him at number 14, right above Kylo Ren at number 15.
All right. So number 13, who'd you have?
Well, I mean, no, because we left off on my 14th pick.
Yeah.
Who
That's right. That's right. 14.
And I had our first. No, not our first, because we had Zam. General Grievous is what I had.
Wow.
General Grievous.
General Grievous.
Now this pains me. Okay, this pains
General
me.
Grievous is a top 10 for me.
But listen. I know. It's General Grievous. He's awesome.
No, he's not. No, I know what you're gonna say. He's not that awesome in the movies.
Yes, and we got to remember our rule. We're only going by the episodes. What we got from the episodes.
What's written in the stone, we follow.
In episode 3, he's just he's quite frankly dumb.
No, he's not.
He's quite dumb.
No, he's not.
Pretty dumb.
How is he dumb? He's not dumb. He's not dumb. He's
certainly lesser than he should be.
Yeah, but okay. Wipe your mind clean of all the anthology material, all the bonus material.
Mm-hmm.
He captures the Chancellor like he's supposed to. Okay, this guy is a living pawn.
You didn't see him do that. Yeah,
but he did it. He's a living pawn in a game, right? That he has no idea what's going on, right? So he serves his purpose to a T. It says in the opening screen, war. General Grievous is captured in a stunning move.
Yeah, okay. All right. It was on the crawl. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So he captures Chancellor Palpatine, even though Chancellor Palpatine told him to do that, right? But whatever. He doesn't. I don't even think he knows that Chancellor Palpatine is. You know what I mean? He's a pawn.
No, he definitely doesn't.
Right. He captures them. 2 of the greatest Jedi who ever lived board his ship. Okay, and he's freaking out.
Is Obi-Wan one of the? Would you say Obi-Wan's one of the?
Yes.
I mean, he's good. But Yoda, Mace Windu,
at this point,
Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan's in his prime. He's sitting on the council at this point.
All right, I'm not going to disrespect Obi.
Obi-Wan, he's one of like 15 that sits on the council at this point. Okay, he's a Jedi Master.
Okay, all right. Fair.
He's a council member. He's in the chambers. Okay.
He's
General
a big
Grievous
boy.
doesn't know what to do. Okay. So he's on top of the ship. But he has the ace in the hole. Dooku's on this ship with me, okay? He doesn't really know where Dooku is, but he's thinking, okay, Dooku's probably going to intercept them. So I'm going to chill here and worry about this big-ass cool space battle, right? That this VFX team put together for me, okay?
Yeah.
So he's worrying about that. Then he gets word General Dooku gets killed, okay?
Yeah.
Now he's really freaking out. But he makes the stunning... He's a general. Immediately after learning that the greatest asset has been neutralized, he activates the ray shields, and that the Jedi can do nothing. Even the greatest Jedi masters fall victim to him. They're
perfectly placed ray shields.
They're mere mouse in the trap to him. They're flies caught on the sticky web to him, and they're surrounded by battle droids, escorted up to the bridge, where General Grievous share some words, right? And he's doing what he's making these smart tactical decisions. I'll go even further if you allow me to talk a little bit more about this guy, okay? Because I really don't think he should be this low. Not bumped up against BB-9.
I'm willing to put him higher.
Okay. So he gets bested on the bridge, but he knows he can't take these 2 Jedi without ray shields. So he throws
he needs the ray shields.
He throws the electro staff with precision into the glass that makes the space come in, right? And being a droid, he can withstand
half droid.
Being a cyborg man, he can withstand the vacuum of space. He knows that this will disable the 2 Jedi Knight, Jedi Master in front of him, right? And he's right.
Right.
Okay? That could have killed him right there. Again, a great decision because he had to escape at that point. There's no other option.
And he did get away. He
got away. But what does he do before he leaves? All the escape pods he lets free. Sends them. All dogs go. So that way no one can get off this ship except me at this point. He goes to his Trade Federation cruiser. They're out of there, right? He did exactly what he needed to do. He was told to kidnap the Chancellor. That got mixed up, but that was all what he had to do, right? And this is a great, you know what I'm saying? And then later in the movie...
You're convincing me here, Grievous. Maybe I was too harsh.
Again, I'm looking only at the movie, okay? And then later in the movie, he has a pretty cool lightsaber fight. He had to die. I mean, come on. It's Obi-Wan. And he gets ambushed. He's in the middle of a meeting with some of the coolest guys in the galaxy. And he tells them, he makes a smart business strategy. Go to the Mustafar system. You'll be safe there. They are safe. No Republic people know that they're there.
That wasn't his plan.
Yeah, but whatever. He realized that he's the middleman. He relayed their information, and then as soon as he's about to walk back to, have some food, finally.
What does he eat? What do you think Grievous eats?
The clone army descends on him. What is he going to do? It's the entire battalion of Commander Cody, and then, to make matters worse, Obi-Wan drops in with confidence.
Yeah, he's confident.
Hello there. And General Grievous is like, only him? But so Obi-Wan's exuding confidence. It's a complete ambush attack. General Grievous puts up a good fight. He takes it on the road. They go to the
almost beats Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I gotta admit.
All right, so you know who should really be in the spot?
The 14 spot?
Yes.
Or no, the 13 spot we're looking, because 14 goes to BB-9E. So we're looking at the 13 spot right now.
Yes.
Okay. Who would that be?
I had Wampa.
Okay, I had Admiral Pete below Wampa.
So I had Admiral Pete next.
Above Wampa?
Below, yeah, right above Wampa.
So it's just ours is just flipped like that. I thought Wampa was a better villain than Admiral Pete.
Okay, so I don't think there's much to say about this. What do you prefer? Do you prefer your list better? You like Wampa more than I think Admiral Pete. He's a character. He's not a monster. Okay, but the Wampa is
but Wampa he got close to killing Luke.
He did, but this was Luke before he had training.
Still.
Okay.
Still. He took him by surprise. I mean, I just love that.
Why did he put?
I just love that Wampa's on this list.
Why did he put the lightsaber inches away from Luke?
He doesn't know better. He's a creature.
Why does
he probably doesn't even know what that thing is. He wasn't expecting Luke to use the Force.
Why does he hang his victims upside down like they're bats?
It's like a rack of meat ready to be consumed later.
To get the blood going to their head so they can pass out. But then he wakes up. Yeah, I don't know.
No, he's just hanging his prized meat for later.
Meanwhile,
he didn't know that Luke. He didn't even know that was a lightsaber. He didn't know Luke would use the Force to get the lightsaber.
Yeah, okay.
He was just and you know what? It's a tragic tale too. It's a tragic tale when you think about it. Because
he's still alive.
Because the Wampa, yes, but did he deserve it? The Wampa is just trying to live, get some food on this barren wasteland of a planet.
The Wampa is hungry. The Wampa will eat. Right? The Wampa smelled Mark Hamill.
So not only is he a villain, he's a tragic villain. It's one of sorrow. And I think it's a story that's overlooked in the grand scheme of Episode 5. So I think Wampa should go higher than Admiral Pete.
Okay. Well, Admiral Pete, he's General Huck's done right in my book. He's conflicted as a general in the Battle of Endor.
I do appreciate the moral ambiguity in the Battle of Endor with Admiral Pete. He doesn't fire on his men. Yeah. Maybe
he doesn't
that
want to fire on his troops when Emperor Palpatine is telling him to send nukes down at Endor base. Admiral Pete he's trying to play the right move there, which was the wrong one for the villains. But
and it's got to be a stressful job,
It is. That. As villains go, this man was right under Vader by the end of his career. Okay, you know what I mean? He was in charge of the Super Star Destroyer. You see how big that thing is? It's like a big city.
It's a big thing.
He's in charge. He has to clean it. He has to make sure it's maintained right.
I mean, Pride was in charge of 1,000 bigger ones.
Nah, but not really, because they were all fully staffed with weird red people, red soldiers that
the Sith Eternal
that were, that he made with CGI. Right. I don't even know.
Well, I can compromise on you with this. So I'll put
Emperor probably sculpted them with clay.
I'll put Wampa at 13, and then we could put Pete at 12.
Okay. All right. So
and honestly, this is around the time where these are good villains. I think Piet's a good villain.
Pete, I mean, he's an okay villain. He's like a gray villain,
He deserves the middle of the list. Is where we go.
Yeah, he's a good middle. He's that appetizer. Okay.
So now you're gonna hate me for my number 11.
Okay.
Because I know you like this villain a lot.
I already hate you, so.
Okay. Well, you're gonna hate me even more.
Oh, I didn't think that was possible.
And I know you're about to go onto a whole rant about this character. I have Sebulba.
Oh, you put Nuke on right, didn't you? Oh, Sebulba.
No, I put Sebulba at number 11.
Okay, I had Sebulba at 10. He's
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna put Sebulba way higher.
he's the beginning of my number 10. And I thought you would put Sebulba lower. Okay.
No. Sebulba's an important villain.
Do you want to know who I had at number 11?
Who?
Jango Fett.
Okay. Yeah. I have him at number 9.
At number 9. Okay. So who'd you have as number 10?
BB-9E.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Which we already talked about. Yeah.
Okay. So then you could. So basically, it is Jango Fett and Sebulba.
I can't believe I convinced you to put BB-9E above Kylo Ren.
Well, you made a compelling argument.
Yeah, he deserves it. All right.
It's a less is more scenario, right?
I think. Yeah. Going back to Jango and Sebulba, I think
Sebulba's a better villain than Jango Fett.
I disagree. Well, maybe there's some credence to that because Jango is not. I mean, he's badass and all, and but he's not the brightest.
No.
Well, I mean,
the coolest thing he did was make.
It seems like he should be It seems like he should be smart, but the moves he makes in episode 2 are not the brightest. From shooting a dart to kill the person that is exclusive to the planet he lives on, to challenging Mace Windu like he did, just like going, like just trying to get a couple shots in there, standing there waiting for Mace Windu to charge him. Like
he had
good
no
decisions.
Jetpack. I think he was trying to make some well-focused shots.
Yeah, he kind of was left-handed in there, but like if I'm Jango Fett, I'm not even going down there to begin with. There's
that whole sequence is terrible. Like he flies in, and you're thinking, here we go. Here's Jango.
Yeah, he's about to fuck shit up.
Especially after he kind of fucks up Obi-Wan pretty good. He shakes.
He does. Okay, now he does do that. So I will say he does do that.
Yeah. So you're saying Jango, but he flies in, immediately gets run over by a big rhinoceros that disables his jetpack, and then Mace Windu cleans him up. So you're thinking that Sebulba is worse than Jango?
I have him worse.
Sebulba is part of one of the coolest scenes filmed. The pod race.
That's a lofty claim.
The pod race is so cool and fun.
Does that make it one of the best scenes put to film? Because it's cool and fun. Okay, well that's a different conversation. But
they maybe shot digital. They shot digital, I think. But
he's definitely more of a threat than people realize. I think when you're watching that movie, you are like scared that Sebulba might win this race, even though it's pretty clear that he's gonna lose.
Right.
They do set him up well to be like, it's very unlikely that Anakin, even though from a meta perspective, it's likely that he has to win the race for the story to continue on.
Right.
It seems very unlikely because Sebulba seems so good at pod racing, and he is like
he's the
good antagonist. He's a good antagonist for that part of the movie.
He is, dude. He kills it. He steals the show. There's a whole story to that pod race scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's throwing wrenches.
Yeah,
he's
the engine.
He kills people. I mean,
my gosh. He has more kills than probably anyone on this list, dude.
Is that true? I don't
pod
think
racing is so dangerous, and he has a badass pod racer. Right?
Yeah.
And he is a villain too. Like he's an evil person. He's a
bad dude.
He spits on people. Remember when Jar Jar hit him with the chicken, and then he was
and he chokes him out.
Yeah, and he's like Baba Ooba, and and Anakin's like, that's a bad dun named Sebulba, and you don't even think anything of it. But then it's revealed that Sebulba is the greatest pod racer the galaxy has ever known, right?
Yeah.
Until young Skywalker.
So this was the announcer,
right? So I'm going to say at number 11, Jango, number 10, Sebulba. What do you think about that?
I'll agree with you on that. All so
right.
Number 11, we're going to Jango Fett. No.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm right. Jango Fett.
Number 11, Jango. Number 10, how about Sebulba?
So breaking the top 10, Sebulba.
He's breaching it. And then underneath the seal of the top 10 villains in Star Wars, General Grievous is number 9 for me. Now, I could have put him way higher, but we've already discussed at great lengths Grievous. If it was not only the movies, he would be like number 3 for me, okay? Because he's so cool. In the original Clone Wars animated Samurai Jack show. But,
but we're not looking at that for this.
But looking at this, I think he's very comfortable at number 9. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll tweak that at the end, but for number 9, I'm pretty confident putting him there right now.
All right, so who's your number 8?
My number 8 is okay. Now I'm willing to compromise with you on this one. I'm willing to put him more up, but I think that the other 7 are just better. But I have Newt Gunray at number 8.
Because I had Newt Gunray at number 6.
A little bit higher. Yeah, I figured he'd be a little bit higher in your eyes because you're a Newt Gunray stan. If I
love Newt Gunray. I think he's fantastic. Wait. Yeah, Newt Gunray is my number 7.
You're number 7. Okay, so he's just above where I had him. I had him at number 8.
Exactly, he's number 7. I misspoke. My number 8. Okay. Do you want to know who my number 8 is?
Was it Boba?
Boba Fett.
Yeah. So,
how'd you know that?
Because again, we had it flipped by just one. I had Boba Fett at number 7.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Hot dog.
So okay, so now we got to debate Newt Gunray and Boba Fett.
Dude, holy crow! This is not even close.
You're such a Newt Gunray fanboy.
Newt Gunray is so iconic, dude. I love the Phantom Menace. Anyone who knows me knows I love the Phantom Menace, and
yes, I'm a fan of the prequel trilogy as well.
I will shout it from the rooftops. It's so entertaining.
You're ugly and you're proud.
No, it's not a good movie. That was never the intention. It's so much fun.
Well, I think the intention was to be a good movie. I think it was intended to be
whatever they
good.
Ended up with. They threw it in the easy bake oven looking for a cupcake, and they got out a prime rib. Okay, it's so entertaining.
How did that happen? Prime rib?
Exactly. They're wondering the same thing. They're going, how did we make such a great piece of fun? It's so funny. I die laughing watching this movie, dude.
It's really entertaining.
And half of that is because of Newt Gunray. Right at the beginning, they're no match for droidicars. Right? And his face is so funny, his voice. Every single line he says is quotable. I thought the battle was going to take place far from here. This is too close. And meanwhile, we are pitting him against a guy who never speaks.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo.
They're amazing.
Last lines. I think, so we're arguing between Boba and Newt, right?
Yeah.
That's the argument here.
Yeah. And I love Newt Gunray, dude.
I think Boba was just...
Newt Gunray did so much more. There wouldn't be a saga without Newt Gunray. He started an entire galactic conflict.
Yeah, but think about how important Boba Fett is to the series. It's a meme that Boba Fett is so popular and he didn't do that much, right? But if in reality, if you watch episode 5 and you watch episode 6, Boba Fett is there doing his job, and he does a lot. Like he gets Captain Solo, he brings him back to Jabba. The way he died was kind of, I think, it's just George didn't realize Boba would be that big,
Yeah, right.
But, I think that he did what he had to do, and I put him above Newt because of the, on-screen presence and staying power has a big impact on a villain. And Boba Fett has stood the test of time. He's iconic. Even though, up until recently, I know we're not looking at extended stuff, but up until recently, we didn't even know much about him at that time. We knew about him as a kid in the Clone Wars, but
Newt Gunray is the first villain you see if you watch him in chronological order.
It's true. I mean, yeah, but how far does that really get you? I mean, yeah, but are people remembering Newt Gunray
that far? Yes.
More than Boba?
No.
I like both of these villains, but I think Boba, just like as a villain in pop culture, is just better.
Okay, fine.
So we're gonna put Newt at 8.
Fine. I'll sign you a treaty.
Newt at 8, and then Boba at number 7. And then for my number 6, I have now my top 6 are like the creme de la creme, or whatever that saying is,
It's crazy how we have the same loose change as our
Yeah, we have
numbers.
the same top 6 as we've agreed up until this point.
That's amazing.
And my number 6 is Darth Maul.
Okay, my number 5 is Darth Maul. My number 6 is Jabba the Hutt.
Ooh, no. See, I had Dooku as my number 5.
What? You put
Now,
Dooku high up?
I have my Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt.
Why is Jabba so high on your list?
Because he's a top 3 Star Wars villain.
That's funny because.
Are you kidding me?
Guess who's top 3
Jabba the Hutt?
Guess who's top 3 for me?
I'm sure Dooku's top 3 for you because you love your Dooku. Is he top 3?
You cannot tell me that Jabba the Hutt is better than Count Dooku. Seriously, are you gonna seriously?
I can tell you that. I can seriously tell you that. He runs a crime syndicate over entire galaxy.
He's in my top 6. Okay, Jabba the Hutt's here. We're talking about the greatest villains now. Okay, in the history of a long time ago.
Jabba the Hutt.
He's Jabba the Hutt, but he gets choked by a wet whore.
Whoa! That's huge disclaimer. That was a joke. Talk so.
No, I love.
Watch your language there.
I love Princess Leia, but she dispatches of this big fat piece of slime with the chain.
Well, that's just because he is a fat piece of slime. But think about as a fat piece of slime, how much he's done. He's the leader of an entire crime syndicate.
I think he's an amazing character, but it's Count Dooku. Well, first of all,
who are we fearing the entire first episode? Is an iconic villain.
He's okay. I mean, he's number 6 out of how many did we do? 21.
Yeah, these are still good spots, good looks here. But Jabba the Hutt, I feel like, is a standout Star Wars villain.
He's iconic. He's very fun. He's got every scene he's in, he steals the show. But I started to look at villainous acts. I started to look at impact on the saga here.
Okay, is running the crime syndicate of the galaxy not a villainous act enough for you?
Well, Jabba. Okay, first of all, let's look at Jabba the Hutt as a villain here. He's a great presence before the special editions when you heard his name. And Han Solo's on the run from Jabba. He's got, Jabba's sending out bounty hunters against him. You don't even know what this guy looks like. You learn to fear him only from the way that Han frames him to Luke and the rest of the gang, right? So you get this great kind of setup for 6, and then when 6 happens, it's I don't care who you are, you weren't expecting a big fat slimy slug, right?
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, by the time we get to 6, and maybe having the events of the movie take place a little differently would have helped this. But Jabba's an idiot, kind of from the moment that we meet him. He has one smart thing to do when he puts Luke in the Rancor pit, but he keeps Han on his wall, which is cool, I guess. That's iconic too. But we get to Jabba's palace, and already Lando has infiltrated the palace somehow. He's already like a guard.
Yeah, he's working.
And then
he's fully staffed.
He's fully staffed with rebels. And Luke's friends have the worst plan ever, but somehow it outsmarts Jabba's, right? And he takes them. He could have killed them like so many times, but he has to take them to the Great Pit of Carkoon.
Well, it's called business. That's how the Hutts do it. They want to see a show.
I guess so. Yeah, they do want to see a show. The yacht was cool. I mean, everything about him is awesome. He's number 6. He really doesn't. I mean, we're talking about Star Wars. This was a very personal chapter at the beginning of episode 6. You had Luke going to rescue his best friend, right?
Right.
Nothing with the Empire, nothing with the Rebel Alliance had to do with this. He didn't even have to do it, really. But that was a very personal thing for Han and Leia, and Chewie, of course, to get Han back from the clutches of Jabba. So, from here on forward, I'm talking about people that were either part of the Great Separatist Alliance or the Imperial.
Fantastic Separatist Alliance.
The Imperial Dynasty, right? So, like major players in the course of the galaxy, right? The Hutts have always been the leaders of their territory, and I love the idea of diving into the underworld. I think number 6 is a great spot. What are your thoughts on Jabba?
But don't you think that in terms of like staying power, Jabba the Hutt has more to say than like say Dooku?
Staying
Maul?
power? No, I think
Yeah.
Dooku is far more impactful than Jabba and iconic. When you watch all the movies, dude, I have a real soft spot for Count Dooku. I have to be honest with you.
I know you do. You're a big Dooku simp.
I'm a big separatist head. I love Newt Gunray and I love Dooku, and I love everything with the CIS. I think it was the coolest faction we've ever seen in Star Wars so far.
Looking at my list, I feel like Maul should be higher up on my list. I'm definitely
that's what I was going to ask you. You have Maul. You have
Jabba.
You have Jabba over Maul.
Yeah. I have Jabba.
Now explain that to me. Explain your thought process with that. Let's take that, because I have Maul right after Jabba, and I know you have Jabba. It sounds like a little higher than even.
Yeah, I actually have him in my number 3 spot.
That's crazy.
I know. Crazy. I have him just off staying power alone, just how iconic he is and how well known he is. Everybody knows Jabba the Hutt, and it's. Once we determine
the number. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's interesting how many, really thinking about how iconic Jabba the Hutt is, even though he was just in that personal beginning of episode 6, like you were saying. He's not like Darth Vader, a constant throughout the trilogy, but his like presence and his appearance is just stood the test of time. Everybody knows Jabba the Hutt. Everybody, even if you don't watch Star Wars, you know Jabba the Hutt.
That's true.
But can you say that about Dooku?
I would say as time goes on, and the more that they, release Star Wars as a saga,
okay,
and the more that Disney continues to choke,
the
better that the prequels look, and the more, like, if you really,
that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, as time goes on, and now that there's a whole new generation of Star Wars fans who have the great new technology to get their voice out there, it's very apparent that, people like Dooku are kind of like you say Dooku, and it's hilarious. I think, don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating that the prequels are better than the original trilogy by any means, but I think that the characters in it and the direction of the movies and the style and the course of events is awesome, and it's amazing, and I think they're really fun movies, and I think that part of that is because of the zany character names, and I think because it's hilarity to me, like, it's funny, and I don't look at the prequels and the original trilogy the same. I look at the prequels to laugh and to have a fun time with my friends. I look at the original trilogy as like a trilogy of movies in the vein of like modern day mythology. You know what I mean?
Like classic cinema.
Yeah, I look for that. Well, not even. It's even more than that. It's like a modern mythos for our society today. It's like the Iliad. Of today. Because you get these Yoda and all these people. These are like Achilles and stuff. They'll live on forever as kind of mythological beings that George Lucas whipped up. Right. It's very cool. But
so what aren't you arguing my point then? Aren't you arguing that like Jabba?
No, not at all. Because we're still looking at the villains of Star Wars. So when you frame it like that, I think Jabba's number 6. Again, I'll say it.
Okay, so you're thinking about just like as a villain within this universe.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it. I think with my Jabba placement, I was looking at it with a much more external lens, thinking about how big Jabba the Hutt is.
Yeah, you were looking at it from a meta perspective,
like a pop culture perspective. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, after we place this number 6 spot, we'll look at our number 1 and kind of determine the number 5 as a whole. Because, you can't really talk about number 5 without talking about number 1, I feel like. But while we're still here outside the number 5, and we have the same people going down the list here. There's no outliers really.
Yeah, which is crazy how that ended up. But I feel like that's just that just means we're both right.
But I think I can firmly say that each of these names that we're about to mention have the staying power that you're talking about with Jabba.
Okay, well, for the sake of moving on,
I'll talk about Darth Maul. Who doesn't know Darth Maul?
Oh, well, yeah, for sure.
In the same way as Jabba. I mean, you use Jabba the Hutt to explain fat people. Like Jabba the Hutt appears in like
it's
rap
mean,
songs and stuff. And I think Dooku is he, even me saying his name now, and Christopher Lee, and all his great work with the character, and every single time he's on screen, it's a quote. Jabba has his own quotes too, but he's funny. And like Jabba is like a prequel character in the original trilogy in a way. He's very fun, and he's very like out there and is very striking. He has that staying power, but I mean, looking ahead, we have Emperor Palpatine, we have Darth Vader. It's like
That's true. There is a lot of good villains.
So I would feel
left,
comfortable.
so-
I would move Jabba up one spot, maybe to number 5, but so
Okay, well, for the sake of moving on, let's put him at 6 right now, and then we could
Okay.
talk, and maybe we can move that around.
okay.
But I'll put Jabba at 6 right now
You put Jabba
because I
six.
do.
Okay,
I'm
so-
looking at my list again, and I do want to reconsider Maul because I feel like I snubbed him a little bit. I put him at the 6th spot, and I feel like he should be higher. Who was your number 5?
Number 5 was the man in question, Darth Maul.
Maul. Okay. Yeah, mine was Dooku.
Okay,
Yeah, this is getting tough when you get to the top of the list. 'Cause
this is getting tough. So let's go down to our number 1. I think we might be in agreement on this one.
My number 1.
Oh, maybe
It-
not.
Why? Who's your number 1?
Well, mine is here. I'll say it. It's Darth Vader, of course. But that seems obvious
Okay,
to me.
well
Did
then
you not have him as number 1?
We are in agreement.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I
number
feel
1.
like
I mean, there's not
just like
much
with our just like with our Batman list. I feel like that was just given
yeah.
the number 1
I
spot.
I think Darth Vader, in any mold that you construct him in, he's going to be the greatest villain. Not only in Star Wars, but one of the best in all of Hollywood. I think that when it was only the original trilogy, he was, a paramount villain. And then when you add the prequels, I think it, even furthers it. I thank God they didn't really mess him up too much in the sequels. I think that he should have, like Anakin, should have been in the sequels.
Yeah,
That would have continued his story a little bit. I was really looking
like
forward to that.
obviously as a ghost.
Of course, yeah. But whatever. But he,
I think,
there's not much you can say.
Yeah, talking
know.
about Vader, I think it's crazy how right they got it on like the
Yeah.
first try. with
Right.
Vader. Yeah,
Oh my
because now
goodness,
people writing their villains now, like
Yeah.
writers today, look like that's the benchmark. Like they look to Vader.
Exactly. It was a
And
huge
it's-
watermark moment for villains.
It's just crazy how he changed the game for like what a villain is and what like a villain could be.
Yeah.
And then the
And you're
prequels just fleshed it out.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And you're so right. Like the people who made Thanos, they were looking to Vader to try to create a
Mhm.
modern day Vader. And when you say that, what they really mean is that by a look alone, by the silhouette of him appearing on screen evokes something in your mind, right? Like before he even says a
Yep.
word. And then when he does speak, oh my goodness, James Earl Jones.
Yeah, he backs it up.
In the
yeah.
case of Thanos, it's Brolin, but yeah, and but yeah, he was the first one really that did that kind of like I don't even have to say anything, and that I am for one powerful, for two a crazy story is attached to me,
And a
three,
big threat.
I'm something to
A
be
big threat.
feared, a threat,
Yeah.
exactly, a big threat, and that is from the moment you see him, and then even they flesh him out in such smart ways, even in the containment of the original trilogy. It's so beautiful how like the reveal of him being the father of Luke is so that does more almost for him than it does for Luke in some ways. You know what I mean?
Right.
As a character, and then you learn in 6 that his hands are tied to the Emperor, and and then his triumphant reconciliation with himself.
Yeah, it's
They
clear
didn't need
George.
Yeah,
It's clear that George maybe he didn't have it fully figured out after 4, but
Mhm.
when he was making 5 and 6, it's very clear that he had this whole
yeah,
vision about what he wanted this character to be.
right.
And
Even in
it-
4, his exchange with Obi-Wan, I'll cite, is so good at establishing him as like a crazy big looming threat, but not the kind of villain that only wants to take over the world. He has something more to him. He has a heart, and he's talking about how he was the student, now he's the master, and like little things, like very choice lines for him go so far and establish him as not only number one on this list, but I think in any villain cinema list, he'd be up there.
Yeah, so that was a clear number one.
Yeah. Okay, so now number one locked in, Lord Vader, the Dark Lord of
the daddy himself.
Yep.
So then so do you want to? So are we going back to number 5 now? Now that
so
we've
with that out of the way, yeah. So again, my 5 is Darth Maul. Okay, so now we're working up to Vader. Okay, so
that might be a good spot, but we need to think about Maul versus Dooku for a second.
Okay, let's think about Maul because Dooku is your number 5. Okay.
Yes.
So all right, so we'll put them against each other, kind of. Now, it's very obvious to me when they were creating Maul, they were going for another Vader-like presence on screen. You know, someone who doesn't talk much, is getting by look alone in terms of his you know, what images he puts in the mind, what feelings he gives to the audience. I think that he's very far from Vader in that regard. I think that the animated Clone Wars show and the Outside anthology did a number for him as a character. I think he's fantastic today in the modern mythos of Star Wars as it continues to grow. I think that Maul has proven himself to be one of the best, and you know, I would place him even higher on this list if we were taking that into consideration, but we're not. Sticking with the films alone, he's a great intro to what Star Wars is. He's an alien. He's a Zabarak. You know, he's a Dark Lord of the Sith. And he has one of the greatest lightsaber duels, probably the best in the entire saga. So the reason
very likely it's the best. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that's in the first episode. So he's a great intro. He should have had more lines. Yes, he should have, you know, blah blah. But I think they were always thinking like, this is episode 1. This is, you know, he is gonna get killed, and to make way for a place next to the Emperor for Anakin. But then you look at the apprentice of Sidious that is in between the aforementioned 2 here, Dooku, who is the one who generates the Clone Wars. He's the guy who has to get that started. He's the separatist leader, and he's also a Dark Lord of the Sith. And the great Christopher Lee, I think, took that character off the page in ways that George Lucas didn't expect. He has a great lightsaber. He has 2 great lightsaber fights. One of them with a CGI green Goblin, and the other with Anakin.
Was that fight? Okay, that fight was like cool just because, like, you know, the Yoda aspect of it. But
yeah, right.
I want to remind you that half of that fight was just close-ups of Christopher Lee,
right,
swinging around a.
No, it wasn't. I don't think that was a great. I think his better fight was definitely in Revenge of the Sith with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Yeah. That was.
The fight, like the context of the fight is really dope, cool, and the way they did it was fine.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like it was no Obi-Wan versus Maul level of fight. It was just you were kind of just waiting for the fight to resolve in any way.
Right, and what's interesting about Dooku is that I think he would be lower actually on my list if we were taking into consideration the anthology. Right. I think that the Clone Wars made him more of a one-dimensional. The Clone Wars show made him more of a one-dimensional.
Just a nefarious, like.
He was the big bad. Yeah, he was like the guy that he was like the Emperor for that show because they were dealing with like other separatist generals and stuff constantly. So in the movies, though, we know that in Attack of the Clones, we know that he's the fallen Jedi master, and that they don't really know where he is or whatever. And well, they do. I guess they do know that he's like. Turned from the get-go of episode 2, but they don't know that he's like the one behind the clones and everything like that. So I think his plans were great. I think like he did probably expect to be ruling the galaxy. I think that the Darth Sidious tricked him, and I think that what he was searching for was more power and an alternative to the Jedi Council, which at the time, and a lot of people don't, know this or don't take this into a factor when they talk about the prequels, is that the Jedi are supposed to be like not right. They're not supposed to be like 100% justice, right? They're like kind of faltering, and that's where the Council slips with
Mace Windu says it himself in the movie. He says we should tell the Senate that our ability to use the Force is being diminished, and we don't really know what's going on. They're kind of on their heels through most of the trilogy.
Yeah, it's like my favorite line from the sequel trilogy is in episode 8. I think it's my favorite line, actually, is when Luke talks to Rey when they're on the mountain temple thing on Ahch-To, and he says to her, he says, the Jedi were, in their own hubris, they let one of their own, whatever that line was, right? And I think because that
it's not good enough to remember.
No, but that line is great, and I think it stands out for me because it actually like recognizes the past, right, and attempts to like give something new, right, like a new frame on the Jedi, but then they end up doing nothing with that. But yeah, I think that was a cool line because it embodies what I was saying seconds ago. Because at the time of the prequels, it was 1,000 years of peace, and there was no Sith messing with anything. They were in hiding and they were plotting for their return. And I think that Dooku embodies the Sith really well because he does get betrayed. He is surprised by the fact that, like he did get betrayed, and he was promised probably what Vader ends up getting, right? I think he's like, he does enough to really generate a good amount of intrigue that the mythos of Star Wars hasn't even dived into yet. Again, I'll say, I think that what they've done with the expanded anthology has detracted Dooku in some ways, but there's still room to grow. I think they haven't done anything to like ruin him yet, but they haven't really like picked up on the points that interested me the most about him. So
I agree with the point that if you just look at the movies alone, like we're doing here for this list, that Dooku does come out on top above Maul, as a villain. I agree with that.
There you go.
So should we go 5 Maul and then 4 Dooku? I feel like that's fair. I feel like that's where we're at right now.
Okay, well here's the reveal of this. I had Dooku at number 3.
Did you have him above? Okay, who was your 4? Who was your 4?
My number 4 was Darth Sidious because of the sequel.
So was mine.
Really?
But
okay, so now we can talk about
So this is so interesting because that would make Dooku on our combined list a top 3 Star Wars villain. Is that really what we want here? Because it's true that the Emperor, like he's fantastic. He should be close to Vader,
I
but
had him
the sequel trilogies absolutely just ruin it.
Right.
Because we have to look at those movies as well. We have to take that into consideration.
Of course, yeah.
Specifically 9, because that's the only one he's in.
No, and you know what? To piggyback off that, and to have you carry me around on Dagobah, Star Wars joke.
Yeah, they did that.
He's not only ruined in 9, he's ruined in 8 and 7 retroactively. Because if they reveal him to be the voice in Kylo's head the whole time and the one that la, he's actually, now we know that he's actually the big villain of the whole sequel trilogy, which is total, bullshit.
Yeah, he blew up twice.
Even though he only makes a physical appearance in 9, it's hinted at that he was like Snoke, like he created Snoke, but he was also the voice, like he was the one who was talking to him through Vader's helmet. Like,
well, this isn't really hinted at. This is like directly said and shown in that opening scene.
It's a dangerous line of thought for me because it already ruins what is to me a bunch of goop, a bunch of like worthless, hollow Disney capitalist.
But how much? I guess the thing we have to consider here is how much does that detract from the prequel and original trilogy, and does it detract it so much that it makes him better or worse than Dooku?
Let me put it this way: he was my number 2. Now he's 4. So right there. Yeah.
I feel
So that should tell you all you need to know. Like he would have been right there by his greatest apprentice Vader. Because in the prequels, I think he's the best written villain.
It's no question if you're just looking at the prequel
I think
trilogy.
he's fantastic, and I think that the throne room scene in 6 is so magnificent, so well shot. Everything about it is glorious, and it's why I go back to Episode 6 personally. I go back to episode 6 for the Jabba's palace scene, and then from the moment they leave Tatooine, I look forward to the throne room scene on the Death Star too, because they do this over and over and over again in the sequels. Like they try to do that again, with the Snoke scene, and they do it again in 9. Really, like in a way. Yes, they do. They straight up do. He's sitting on the chair. And
he's on a throne. Yeah, he's on a chair.
Oh my god! And it's so they make it into an abomination. It's so weird how they like you talk about what's the word? It's not even like an homage. It's like they rip it off. It's called like Flanderization, I think it is, when like something is overdone.
Is that Flanderization? Because that's when
a
personality of a character collapses on itself.
It has no meaning. It's like a platitude, I guess you could say, like a phrase that it gets said so much that it has no meaning, it loses its value. That's what they did at the throne room scene. But if you look at the original throne room scene, there is so much emotion. There's some great acting. This is like the first time you really get to see Ian McDiarmid experiment with the character, and
he's not just like a hologram.
Yeah, well, and he's in all of episode 6. He comes on board, and but the cackle, his plan, right, to have, think about that, like strike me down, and blah blah blah, and Luke does it, but then Emperor does nothing because he knew that Vader was going to stop him, right? Like I love that. Like the Emperor only laughs when Luke is about to slice him in half, and he would have if Vader didn't stop him, right? Think about that. Like Emperor would have died right there, and he would have died smiling, because Luke would have gave himself to the dark side. He kind of did there, right? And then a great fight with Vader and Luke there as the Emperor looks on, and then he does the villain, the big bad villain business of like, you will die, blah blah blah, and then we all know how it ends. But
and I think
it should have ended there for Emperor. It should have ended there.
I think that scene is so good because it kind of, obviously with like any movie like these movies, it's clear that the hero has to eventually win,
Right.
But this throne room scene does a really good job of kind of breaking that illusion, and you really don't know what's going to happen to Luke, even though from a meta perspective it's like, well, he has to win, right? You really don't feel that way when you're watching the scene. It's really tense.
Yeah, and the original drafts, I think, for episode 6, when it was still, I think there was a few key members that left in between episode 5 and 6. They had it drafted like really darker, I think that was the original, and then George kind of made it a little different. But
it's like, I'm still trying to sell this movie to a.
Yeah, he wanted to kind of complete the monolith of Luke and the hero's journey there, so, which is great.
But we're talking about this so highly, but it's just so sad because it really is ruined by the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, and his, I was talking a lot about episode 6, but he is only elevated as a character in the prequels. I think out of all the characters that are in both the original trilogy and the prequels, him and Obi-Wan are totally given new dimensions and heightened in their appeal, bar none. Like his plan in the prequels is fantastic, and it's kind of like this big web that actually kind of makes sense. Like a lot of these big bad villain plans, they don't really make a lot of sense, so you have to kind of suspend your disbelief. And like I'll use Thanos as an example again. He's the big bad of the MCU, or thus far. His plan doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but they do such a good job in those movies of making it seem like Thanos believes it makes sense, which is all that really matters. You need the character to believe what he's doing is what's right. But like the whole like get rid of the half. He could have given them more resources, or something, right? He could have done anything. You know what I mean? But either way, the Emperor's plan is really, really actually good, and that's surprising because a lot of the other stuff in the prequels doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I think, especially for
how complicated it is. It is
not like for children at all.
Yeah, it's crazy how well it's like constructed, even though it is so confusing, and the prequel trilogy in itself is like not the best written. Right.
Like George Lucas really he made his like his big overarching his big plot points work really well in the prequels, I think, but the scene-to-scene dialogue suffered a lot.
Yeah.
But talking about that, hey, every single scene Palpatine's in is some of the best dialogue he wrote for those
I
three
know.
movies. So,
Especially 3.
Yeah, exactly. We'll cite the opera room scene. Fantastic. So it's a shame. It's with a heavy heart that I place Sidious at number 4. But do you think he deserves higher?
Yeah, I mean, because I guess now the debate we've come to is Dooku Palpatine. Like, is Palpatine ruined enough to put Dooku into the top 3 spot?
I put Dooku above Sidious because it's me, but
yeah, I know, but we have to face facts here.
I think Darth Sidious is better than Dooku.
I think so too, even with the sequel trilogy.
But
what did we just do? We just raved about him for like 10 minutes, talking about how good he was in both trilogies.
How good he was. See, that's the thing. How good he was.
He was exceptionally good in these trilogies.
I know.
And you have to think, like, man.
But Dooku was, yeah, I know.
Because here's the thing. When I watch Star Wars, like if I wanted to watch all the movies, I'm not going to watch the sequel trilogy. Like, that's just personally how I do it.
Right.
And nothing's lost for Palpatine. He's still that great villain, And I don't think about the sequel trilogy. So, like, watching these movies, like, it isn't ruined in the movies. So, like, the villainous that we're looking at here is still there, present in the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we still got to give him the respect that he deserves and put him in number 3.
Okay. Sidious over Dooku.
So Dooku is going at the number 4. Then, yeah. So then that's funny because I guess this means our number 2 is Tarkin for both of us.
Tarkin.
Which is that's so crazy how we both put him at number 2.
That is. I have to tell everyone watching from home and from their mobile devices that we did not deliberate beforehand on this list. It is pretty telling how similar me and Bubba are.
We have both discussed, like, off camera, off recording, like we have talked about how cool Tarkin is and how good of a villain he was before, but to both put him at the number 2 spot is kind of right. This is shocking. But I mean, he's got to be, especially after all that Emperor stuff. He really is the main villain of 4, and he's a dominant presence.
Yeah.
And I feel like he earned every second he got on screen. And I love Tarkin.
I love Tarkin too. I think he's fantastic.
I feel like number 2 is a great spot for him, especially with the Emperor changes.
Right. So, and the list is complete.
Listen, I thought that I might want to put Jabba higher, but looking at it, I'm pretty satisfied with this spot.
So the top 5 is Maul, Sidious. No, yeah.
Yeah, Maul,
Dooku, Sidious, Tarkin, and
Vader.
Lord Vader. So
and
that's our list.
But just to remind the folks at home, let's go through the whole list. Yeah.
Let's do it.
So from the bottom up, number 21, clear lowest, Knights of Ren. Above him, we have Hux, Pride, Snoke, and then Phasma. So a lot of sequel trilogy people down there.
Where they belong.
And at number 16, Zam Wessel. Number 15, we got Kylo, and squeaking up above him, my boy BB-90 at number 14.
Okay.
And then we got Wampa, who somehow beat every single sequel trilogy villain at number 13.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, though. That's legitimate.
We got Piat at 12, Jango Fett at 11, and then our top 10, we got Sebulba, Grievous, Newt Gunray, Boba Fett, Jabba, and then we already mentioned the top 5, but it's Maul, Dooku, Emperor, Tarkin, and then, of course, Daddy Vader at number 1.
All right. That was... You know what? I agree completely with that list. Besides, maybe
I'm pretty sad. Just
90, but
within the rules we set ourselves of, which is just looking at the movies alone, the episodic movies alone, I feel satisfied with this list, and that's what we look for here on with this series. We look for satisfaction.
We look for satisfaction, and we try our best to guarantee it. It was a great joy to use this technology available to us to give you this list. And, you know, we tried to get all the villains we could find in episodes 1 through 9.
I don't think we missed anybody.
I don't think we did either. We tried
I
to
don't think
find,
we
you know,
did.
main players that were villains, obvious villains, and that did villainous things and stood in the way of the heroes. And you know, feel free to tell us what you'd like to see us rank next. You know, it's really
And
always
tell
a
us
great time.
tell us where you put these villains yourself.
Of course,
well,
you know, use that comment section below. And thanks for watching, and look forward to more in the future.